Tonight we are going to talk about the nutritional needs for teenagers versus adults. And when I'm talking about teenagers, I'm talking about 13 to 18, 19, 7th grade till your senior year. So, hi, I'm Stephanie Refcar, and I'm the owner and founder of Fit45, the fitness app, and also F3 Nutrition. So, I nutrition coach, and then I also have a fitness app. So, clients can do either or both. And so I am a wife and mom of three. My kids are 25, 23, and my son will be 14 next week. So I'm very, very knowledgeable in this because I have daughters that I've raised, and what works for girls is different from boys. And then I also have a son that is in those preteen years. So we are talking about from 7th grade till your senior year and the nutritional needs versus adults. So obviously, if you can teach your children this at a young age, it is going to be so much more beneficial for them later. And what I like to tell people, I get a huge influx of the junior high and high school kids in the summertime. And, when they come to me, they're so discouraged, the girls are, because they're like, my friends can eat this or my friends can do that. And I always say, when those friends hit 40, they're going to have that aha moment as, oh my gosh, I don't know how to eat. And I have two daughters. They are built totally different. And when they lived in college, my oldest one would say, why can my youngest sister eat anything? And I said, it is going to hit her because it hit her dad. She's more like her dad. And I said, when he hit 40, he had to learn, because he always ate healthy, and he always has worked out and exercised. But he really did not have to watch his diet as he did once he hit that 40 mark. And I tell my young clients, it will hit everyone. You don't think it will, but it will. And if your children can learn this at a younger age, especially as they are poisoning our food every single day, they are going to be ahead of the game, and they will not have those struggles later. So I always tell my clients who have struggled since junior high and high school years, say, count it kind of as a blessing, because you know that you are always going to have to watch it. I have always had to watch my weight. People think because I do this for a job, I cannot. If I get derailed, literally, I have to backtrack. And so I have to always have my game on. So I'm going to jump on to the most important macros. So we have 3 macros: protein, fats, and carbs, if you have any of your children watching this. And so they make up your calories. I don't count calories, I count macros. And the most important macro, I have changed the way that I have nutrition coach, because nutrition is always changing, things are always changing. And protein is the most important. And it definitely is in those teenage years when they are, that's when they're growing, that's when they're sleeping a lot too. And let them sleep. They need that sleep because they are growing, especially those teenage boys. And protein is always important, definitely, as I've talked about as we get older, but it also is definitely in these years when they are growing extra, especially those boys. They're growing out of those clothes like left and right. They're building that lean muscle. But protein for the age of teenage years needs to be 1 gram per body weight. So no matter what they weigh. When I talk about adults, it's either 1 gram per body weight or 1 gram for your go weight. But for the teenage years, 1 gram per body weight is just as important for proteins. It's building that lean muscle. Protein and carbs have the same amount of calories. The kids need their carbs during this years, especially if they are in athletics, because the carbs give them energy. So their carbs actually need to be more than their protein, because they are burning a lot of energy. They're either cheerleaders, they're cheering at games, they're football players, and they are you maybe run track. They are very, very active. Some are playing basketball. And what I have to do for my young men that come to me for nutrition coaching, I've coached a lot of athletes in the college level, is they sometimes have to supplement with a carb powder, which is like Carbo Game or Ignition from First Form, things of that nature, because they can't get all those carbs. And the boys are like, oh my gosh, I cannot eat all these carbs. And I like for them to have oatmeal. I don't like for my older clients to have oatmeal, and that's a whole nother subject we'll discuss later in April. But I do like, because they're usually insulin resistant, but I do like for my younger crowd to have the like oatmeal. But if the boys cannot get in their carb source, and that's when they have to supplement. That's what supplements are for, with a carb powder, just like you supplement with a protein powder. And a lot of my client young men have to supplement with protein powder as well, because you know they can't get in all that protein, or they're hot and sweaty and they get sick feeling eating all of that food. So that is very, very important in that growth stage, is getting your protein and your carbs in. Usually their carbs are a little bit higher. Fat. So let's talk about fats. So they need their fats during this growth stage as well, because fats, especially for the girls, they really, really have to keep their fats up, because, and that's healthy fats. That's not fats coming from cakes and sugars, all that. Yeah, I know you obviously know that. But healthy fats like avocado, nuts, eggs, steak, things like that, like ground chicken, ground beef, where it has like 8 grams of fat in it, because their hormones, when they're having their cycle, that's why they're moody. And actually, I do like my clients during their cycle to have some dark chocolate, because it will actually help their mood, and it will help them benefit through their cycle. Dark chocolate, when I talk about, is 70% cocoa higher, because that will help with their mood. And if they get their fats, because everyone is so scared of fats because it is 9 grams per calorie, but fats are important, especially during this growth stage, especially for my female clients in the teenage years while they're getting their cycles. That's why a lot of times that they are having such moods, the cystic acne and things like that, is because they're not eating enough fat. So very, very important for the females. It is important for the males too, but more so for the girls in those preteen years. And then the most important thing, and I know, I grew up on Cheerios, but Cheerios back, I'm 51, is not the same Cheerios that I grew up in. I was always sick as a kid. But I will have to say is, do not give your kids cereal unless you do like the Eat Love Bird cereal or the grain-free cereal first thing in the morning, because you are skyrocketing their blood sugar levels. And you could not pay me enough. Teachers do not get paid enough, and you could not pay me enough to be a teacher. And so you got to think about, you get frustrated with your child. Well, if you're starting them off on donuts, sugary cereal, sugary foods, not a good breakfast, then you skyrocket their blood sugar. And we wonder why kids are on ADHD medicine, or why the teachers are coming to you saying we're having trouble with our kids and things of that nature. So how you start your child's morning off is so important. And I'm telling you, these poor teachers, what they have to deal with, because probably nothing is worse than having to tell a parent about their child. And so if you're really watch how you start your child, and I'm going to talk about intermittent fasting with teens in just a second, but if your child has breakfast, and please do not, it does not take much time to meal prep on a Sunday and Wednesday. Maybe put in baggies, Ziploc bags, like protein shakes or smoothies of things of that nature, or have frozen berries for them. I really love if you can, I meal prep my eggs. If your son or daughter can start off with whole eggs, 2 whole eggs would be great to get that healthy fat, because you are going to start their mornings off so wonderful just by getting, and let me touch on that too, when I talked about protein and carbs. It really is important that first meal has a protein and fat source. Now, I know I say that with my adult clients. It is very, very important for the teenagers. Now, if they have athletics first thing in the morning, then they do need to have some carb source, and that could be a banana, it could be frozen berries. Frozen berries will help with blood sugar levels. It can also be oatmeal for the younger. I don't like my adults to start off with oatmeal, and like I said, I'll touch on that on a topic later on in April. But if they can start with that, or a whole wheat toast. Don't like my adults to start with toast, but the younger generation can. Turkey bacon is great. It has your healthy fats, not real bacon, but turkey bacon. And so things of that nature to start, especially if you have a growing boy, girls, they like to have smoothies and things of that nature, but pre-make them, have them already in the refrigerator, or do overnight oats and then just pop it in the microwave. It is just as fast as if you go drive through a donut line or drop them off. I see at the convenience store down below where I live, where people will, let the kids run in and get, or stop at McDonald's and get a bacon, egg, and cheese McMuffin, which is horrible for you. So, make all this at home. It really does not take any more time than you driving through a drive-through. Now I'm going to touch on intermittent fasting. So, like I said, I'm a mom of 3. And my husband is a natural intermittent faster, could not gain weight to save his soul while he was, my goal when I was pregnant was never to outweigh him. Luckily, I caught up with him at 40 and he had to really start watching his diet. So he has always been a natural intermittent faster. He is a kid back, they medicated for ADHD. We've learned all lately now how I would never medicate my son, and that's a whole new subject I'm gonna talk about what my son is. I'm just going to touch on, because he asked me not to talk about him, but a little bit of what he has been going through. But when you have a child that is on ADHD medicine, and then you are forcing food down them, unless, I'm not familiar with all the medication and things, because like I said, I don't medicate. But my husband grew up because that's just what they did back in the day. His mom didn't know. That's just what they did. And so you could not force food down him. And still to this day, he is a natural intermittent faster. And I have, my oldest daughter's like me, we wake up hungry, we wake up eating, and my other 2 children are natural intermittent fasters. My son will be 14 next week, and when I say that if I had to force down breakfast for him, I just can't do it. Do not, if you have a child that is a natural intermittent faster, do not force feed them. Do not do that. Do not sit there and make them. I was the child that was sat and made to eat food and sit there at the dinner table until I ate all of it. Do not do that to your child, especially intermittent fasting. But make sure their first meal, no matter if they wait to school to eat at lunch, 1 o'clock, my son could wait till after school to eat. That's how wonderful of an intermittent faster he is. Make sure that first meal is the best meal. No matter what time you eat, that first meal has to be the best meal of the day, because they have fasted, they have slept. But do not let it be a sugary food, especially if they are intermittent fasters. So if they're waiting till lunchtime to eat and they have a sugary food, absolutely not. And so I really do encourage you to not force. I feel like most kids that do athletics, though, first thing in the morning, they really can't intermittent fast. They really do need to be fed. But let your child listen to their body. And I have nutrition coach teenage kids, and you cannot force feed them in the morning. If they are natural intermittent fasters, let them be natural intermittent fasters. Just make sure if you pack their lunch and they don't eat till noon at school, that it is a healthy protein, fat, and carb source meal, because they're usually not insulin resistant as adults are. And so their first meal, especially if they're eating later on in the day. I know it sounds so complicated, but I really do want to iterate to whatever that first meal is, no matter if they start eating at 6 a.m., noon, 3, whatever, do not let it be a sugary food. Let it be really, really healthy fats, healthy carbs, protein source. Like I said, for the younger generation, I am fine with oatmeal. Trying to think what else. Potassium is very, very important for the teenage years as well. So make sure that they're getting in bananas, they're getting in avocados. If you have to supplement Element, it has potassium, sodium, magnesium. They can put it in their water. Honestly, I do like, for those teenagers that have athletics their first morning, to make sure that they are, they can put pink salt in there. I don't like them to do a pre-workout, obviously, no energy drinks, no coffee, but if they want to put in like some pink salt, that will help regulate their blood sugar level and get them through that workout. Now, with my son, with some health reasons, we have had to really change his diet. And I like to say it like this: I never want to be, with this being our job, that we ever forced our son, because I say it's almost like the preacher kid. If you know how growing up, one of our best friends, their daughters are the most amazing girls, and they were raised as preachers' children, but you would never know it because their parents did not force it down them. And so it's like anything. When you force it, those kids are going to rebel. It's not my first rodeo in raising children. And so what I say is really, we did not want to force it down my son until he had some health reasons that we had to, and so I let him eat things in moderation, but we really did have to hone in on his diet. And I've taught him what red 40s are, to look for certain things on labels when he is not with us. And we have created a monster. He will only shop at health food stores now. He actually is teaching me more than I'm teaching him, because I didn't force it down him and when I didn't really force it down him, but we did have to talk with him about health reasons. And anyways, his skin has cleared up, his mood has changed. So before you jump on your children about their mood or about how they behave, look at their diet. Everything can be healed through diet. And so really, really watch what you feed your children. Like if they go to a slumber party and they've had lack of sleep, or they've eaten a bunch of donuts or a bunch of cake and stuff, and their mood changes, don't get on to them for that. It's mainly the food that can do that too, especially what they're putting into our food these days. They are different from the way I grew up. Now, with saying all that, I love cake, I love donuts, I love all that thing. But save that for maybe a Saturday morning for a special treat, or Sunday before church, because do not have it when they're going to be needing to be learning or going to school. Let that be a treat, because everything needs to be in moderation. So if you restrict it from them, they're going to go do it behind your back. So maybe save that for, a Saturday morning special date, or Sunday, at church when they're giving out donuts. So I hope that this has helped you. If you have any more questions for me that maybe I didn't talk on, please either comment them below, or you can email me and I will be happy to answer anything. Or if you're a client, message me in the app. And so the topics are going to be all about nutritional for your teens. Next week's the 20s. Then we're going to hit perimenopause, and then post-menopause. So thank you so much for tuning in.